Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to Watching the World. Today, we have so much in store for each and every one of you. This week, we've had so much in the news, and we can't wait to have the Attorney of the Year, Calvin Johnson, come on. We're going to bring him up shortly to talk about some of the things from a legal perspective, some of the questions that you might have. We know that there's a lot when it comes to Donald Trump, also the big meeting he had with Putin. Let's see what the attorney has to say about it. We also have more topics such as Sean Diddy Combs. We know that Washington, D.C. is extremely hot right now. A lot of people are being arrested, and they're being arrested by the National Guard. So, without any further questions, we're going to bring up Calvin Johnson. Calvin, how are you doing?
Hey man, I'm doing great today. I'm just it's been a busy week. Trump has the federal agents and the National Guard basically down in Washington, D.C., and it's almost a city takeover. So it's been extremely interesting to watch that. There's some people that like the fact that they have allowed an additional law enforcement in areas of Washington, D.C. It's known to be very dangerous there. In some parts of the city, it's kind of dangerous in terms of weapons and drug dealing, etc. However, there's also a lot of people that say we got to be careful about this because it comes off as as very dictator-like, authoritarian-like, and a lot of people don't want to see that kind of presence from the federal government. Short term, yes, it helps with crime, but we don't want it being used as a political tool to move forward when dealing with crime prevention and the ability for the people of Washington, D.C. to be able to govern themselves as a city. So those are the concerns that I see. On one end, I see the crime reduction. However, on the other end, we have to be extremely careful because this could be a serious power grab and it could start to displace people that were elected and entrusted in doing that job by bringing in the National Guard as well as the federal government.
We noticed that there's a lot of lawsuits coming from DC suing the actual government or what have you. Can you break that down for us? How does that work?
Well, what happens is when something like this happens, it becomes a states' rights issue versus a federal government issue, which means the states have the right to govern and police themselves. And the federal government should not be randomly approaching a city and deciding to send in military help, military authority, just military help, military might and manpower, just kind of randomly. And when I say randomly, the problem that you have is you currently have a Republican president, and then you have a situation with him going into Democratic cities in some of these states and deciding that they are going to mete out law and order. So you want the states to have the ability to continue to control their own law enforcement, as opposed to the federal government coming in and just saying, well, y'all can't handle it. We're going to take care of it. And on top of that, you guys are just doing a bad job. And since you can't do your job right, we're going to do your job for you. That can be used in some senses as a political tool for the next election. And it also is kind of very dictator-like. And it's very, you got to be very, very careful with that. It can be an overstep of power. And so what's happening is these states are going to start going to the federal courts, and they're going to say that, hey, Donald Trump has overstepped his legal right to be able to send law enforcement into these democratically controlled cities. And basically, it's going to be a states' rights issue opposed to a federal takeover issue. So the states, all of the separate 50 states retain the ability and the right to be able to govern themselves and to police themselves. And unless there is national security at risk, or something that is crossing state lines that would bring the federal government in, then the federal government should not be doing what it's doing right now based on what these states are saying.
Thank you for that breakdown. Can you explain to everyone who you are and how you can be found?
My name is Attorney Calvin D. Johnson. I'm a practicing attorney here in Dallas, Texas. I've been practicing law almost 25 years. I also hold a political science and history double major, bachelor's of science from Howard Payne University in Brownwood, Texas, where I attended classes at the Douglas MacArthur Academy of Freedom. And I have also ran for city council here locally on the last two election cycles before this last one. In addition to that, I've been very involved in politics in my community. And I practice law at a state, local, and federal level, doing mainly criminal defense. So I have a lot of knowledge when it comes to criminal defense, politics, and history. And I want to combine those three to help people understand kind of what's going on legally, politically, and locally in the government that is happening right now.
Okay, and if you guys would like to also make a donation toward Calvin, you can. We're going to put up his Cash App, or you could also do a super chat just to show some support for having him on the channel. A question I have for you is this. If you're arrested by the National Guard, is that a federal crime or a local regular arrest?
It should be a local regular arrest unless they arrest you for violating a federal law. What's happening sometimes is if you're a past felon and you get caught with a gun, if you have a felony, the federal government prevents you from owning a weapon. So if they catch you with a gun, then it could be considered a federal offense. Or if they consider you an individual who has crossed state lines to commit crimes, then they can arrest you for a federal offense. If you're just in trouble in that locale, it should just only be a local offense. And so that's some of the issues that we're currently having is DC is going to be like a test case because number one, the District of Columbia is kind of different from all of the other states. And because it is the capital of the United States, Trump has decided because of its proximity to the capital that he should be able to go in and get those things going and make sure that law and order is taken care of so that they can have control of the areas that are in the capital.
About 2 weeks ago, I read a report that said that crime was actually coming down in the United States at large. But also, the local police chief also said even in DC, crime was coming down. So if that's the case, why would the president make these extreme moves?
He's making these extreme moves because you have a very democratic government that exists in the Washington, D.C. area. And it is primarily ran by African Americans. And so what's happening across the country, and a lot of people are starting to complain, just like what we have in Texas, and we'll discuss that later, that he is attacking African-American leaning, African-American controlled areas, and then trying to usurp the power in those areas and take away the power of the locally duly elected officials to do their jobs, whether it be legislators or people in law enforcement or people in the government. And so that's where we're having an issue. A lot of people are saying that Trump has decided to attack these areas that are democratically controlled and have a high number or percentage of African-American people either living in the city or running the particular government.
Okay, so there's a video that was floating around last week of a gentleman or two sitting on their stoop in Washington, D.C., and some law enforcement walks up and says, hey, you can't be smoking and drinking in public, even on your own stoop. Is that something new?
I think it is something new. I don't think that they should be able to do that. Now, what happens is sometimes the local laws will say you can't be publicly intoxicated, right? And then some of the local laws, depending on the laws of Washington, D.C., some of them do not allow you to drink out in public. Even though you're in your stoop, you're kind of still in public. And so that sometimes can be an issue, but I'm unaware that that is an issue in Washington, D.C. However, when you think about it, and when I look at, I remember watching the show The Wire, typically people would have alcohol out in the open, but they would cover with a brown bag, and most of the officers would not enforce it. So what you could have happening is that through the years, the officers, when they see somebody drinking on their own porch, you did not say anything, but they may be choosing to enforce that public drinking now to be able to engage that particular citizen, to engage them to see if they're doing anything else wrong. And see, those are the things that we get concerned about. When people start coming in and law enforcement starts coming in and telling grown people what they can and can't do when they're not violating any laws or committing any crimes, and then we need to be concerned about that.
Okay. Now, when it comes to the actual arrest, are the National Guard able to act as the local police? In some cases, we even see people getting hit and thrown around. Should we expect that?
They can act as the local law enforcement. They're supposed to work in a concert with the local law enforcement. However, there's a lot of governors as well as mayors that do not like the fact that Trump is actually activating the National Guard and that he's actually using them in this fashion. And see, that's the next big fight in America right now. How much power does Trump have to continue to have these folks come in and act as local law enforcement and start to engage people when a lot of the times there's nothing going on illegal? But that's going to be the next big fight. There's a lot of concern. There's a lot of concern about that. And that's what you got to be careful. There, one person said that it's not public drinking that was sitting on your porch and minding your own business. I definitely understand that. But like in Baltimore, they used to have a law where you couldn't openly drink an alcoholic drink outside there. And so a lot of people would do what they say the brown paper bag method, where you would cover it with a brown bag. And that way you wouldn't outwardly doing it in front of law enforcement. Once again, I'm going to have to look at the laws in D.C. that talk about what you can and can't do. I don't think that they should be able, as long as you're sitting on your property and your porch, they should not be able to approach you and ask you questions and arrest you while you're drinking. That's my personal opinion, but I want to make sure that I look at the local laws of D.C. to make sure that I'm right about what's happening in D.C. because D.C. and Baltimore are two separate places, but they're very, very close.
With such a high influx of arrests, I expect people like yourself, criminal defense attorneys, would be getting called all the time. Do you have a certain time that individuals would be able to call you if they were arrested tonight, or would they wait till in the morning? How does this work?
Basically, I have an answering service that answers my calls. I give people my cell phone number, which is 469-583-3663. They can text me. Typically at night, I'm going to bed. I try not to answer any calls. Once Friday hits, I typically don't answer a lot of calls. However, if somebody texts me and if I can help them, I will help them. But usually the best times to contact me is during business hours, 8 to 5, 8 to 6, Monday through Thursday, Monday through Friday. But if you're on your way to jail and you're in a very tough situation, I always tell people to call my office, 214-565-5600, where we have a real answering person. I hired a real person, not an answering service, a real person that's connected to me to be able to take those messages. In addition to that, I also take texts at my cell phone number at 469-583-3663. So you will be able to get in contact with me if you're in a tough situation and it's after hours.
Okay, thank you very much. So is there ever a case where people actually call the attorney and the attorney come over at midnight, or is that just maybe something on TV?
Sometimes it's something on TV. However, I do have clients to where I take care of all my clients, but then I have some clients who've done a lot of business with me, who I've known for a long time, who I will get up out of the bed at any hour to make sure that they're okay, to make sure that they get bond, to make sure that I'm able to answer their questions. But a lot of it is a myth. Most attorneys are not getting up late at night going to get people out. But there are situations where I have clients that put retainers with me that are substantial, and they definitely get that VIP service. So I take care of everybody, don't get me wrong, but certain people, they want the access to me, and they're willing to pay for it because I'm very good at doing what I do. I'm going to make sure that if there's a possibility of bail, that you get bail. If your bail is too high, I'm going to try to file motions to be able to get those things reduced. And I'm just going to give you some real good advice. I mean, I won't always tell you what you want to hear, but I'll tell you what you need to hear in a moment so you can take care of your business. And I think that that's important. I try to tell people all the time, I don't have to sell people fantasies about what's going to happen with their cases. I build great relationships, and I do a lot of repeat business with people. Over the past 24, 25 years, I've handled thousands of cases, and maybe out of those 5, 6, 7, 8,000 cases that I have handled over the last 24, 25 years, you may see 5 or 6 or 7, 8 bad reviews out of all those 25 years. And even in those situations, those are individuals where they're responsible for a lot of what happened to them. And you can't get everybody out of everything, but I try to give great advice, and I try to give the right advice to put people in the best position they can be in.
Now, do you only cover Texas or you cover other states?
I cover Texas. However, if it's in some of the other states, I can practice pro hoc vice, which means I can find an attorney in another state and practice under their bar license and with them. I know some attorneys in Georgia. I know some attorneys in North Carolina. I know some attorneys in Oklahoma. If I had to go out there, I could do that. I know some attorneys in Louisiana, Arkansas. So I have California. I have some relationships that go across the country because of some of the past work I've done with folks.
Okay, so I have this video I want to show you of an incident that happened about 3 days ago in Brooklyn, Missouri, I believe. And I'm going to show it to you and have you think about it. At the end of the show, we're going to come back and ask you some questions about it. All right?
Okay, cool.
The whole thing
Okay,
is just
very
awful. Good. But it is the law.
Well, Fox 4 obtained some new video showing more of what led up to a deadly gas station shooting. A grand jury recently indicted Emmanuel Hernandez in one of 2 shooting deaths. I'm Bria Leff.
I'm John Holt. It returned the same charges of voluntary manslaughter and armed criminal action. But the family of the brothers who were shot and killed question why the charges aren't murder. Fox 4's Dave DeMarco live at the Jackson County Courthouse tonight with the video you'll see only on Fox 4. Dave.
And I showed that video today to an attorney not involved in this case for his legal analysis of Missouri's Stand Your Ground law and its potential application here.
Family of Taylor and Byron Garrett say shooting last month at a Truman and Brooklyn gas station was a result of road rage. Probable cause statements make no mention of it, but video obtained by Fox 4 filed in the case seems to show Emmanuel Hernandez's silver Escalade and the Garrett's black Escape in close proximity on the roads for at least 3 minutes before the Escape made a turn after the Escalade at 12th and Brooklyn. The Garrett brothers arrived at the gas station first, and once Hernandez started towards the convenience store, surveillance video shows words briefly exchanged and the taller brother striking Hernandez and both men chasing him back towards his car.
Wow. Wow. Bang, bang twice.
Attorney Dan Ross says what happened outside the gas station is certainly important.
So that's a prior incident. And so that's kind of the history of, even though it's a history that's only 30 seconds old.
And under Missouri law, Emmanuel Hernandez didn't have a duty to retreat after the brothers left him at his SUV with his driver's side door open. Once inside, after appearing to argue, Taylor Garrett strikes Hernandez again, and Hernandez immediately pulls a gun from his waistband and starts firing, chasing after both men. Prosecutor Melissa Johnson said evidence showed that Taylor was the initial aggressor in the confrontation and Hernandez acted in self-defense. But she did file voluntary manslaughter charges in Byron Garrett's death, pointing out Hernandez shot him as he tried to retreat, then pistol whipped him as he stood over both men's bodies on the gas station floor.
There is no clear answer to this. That's why you really enlist the jury to tell us, is this lawful action? The judge can't tell anybody. The prosecutor has made the charge. The grand jury has brought in the true bill. But eventually, if it goes to trial, the jury will tell us, especially given the self-defense law and the instruction, they'll tell us whether this was a lawful act by the defendant.
And Hernandez posted $5,000 bond. John, he's due in court here on August 26th.
What?
Okay, so we're going to go through that whole video toward the end of the show, but I wanted to give you a little heads up before we kind of break it down to get your criminal defense point of view for the guy who pulled the trigger. So getting back to our previous conversation, as far as Donald Trump and Putin, do you have any position on whether you think this meeting was effective?
I always get concerned when it comes to him meeting with Putin. There just seemed to be something weird there with the relationship. It just seems that he has a kind of relationship with him where he's ultra aggressive with everybody else that he deals with. But when it comes to Vladimir Putin, he seems to have a soft spot for him. I wonder what's going on there. I get concerned about that typically because Russia has not been somebody that we've done a lot of foreign relations with positively and that we've done a lot of business with. So I truly get concerned about his relationship with Putin. But I think that because we're the United States of America, that Putin, if he's going to listen to anybody, he may listen to Donald Trump. And so what we hope to be able to do is to use the fact that he might listen to Trump to see if we can get this war in Ukraine under control, because I think that ultimately is not in the best interest of the world, the region, us, because it puts us in a very tough situation with trying to support that war. And now I'm always consistently concerned about meeting with Vladimir Putin, and I seem to think that that there's something there in terms of maybe Putin has something on here. I even read in the comments here and said, what's weird about meeting with Putin? I just remember Putin's one of his assistants literally walking into the White House and laughing before going behind closed doors at the White House during Trump's first administration. And there was to me, I thought that was kind of disrespectful toward American press and the people that were there that day. I have never seen any Russian leader laugh and walk into the Oval Office with such arrogance as the gentleman that used to work for Putin did that first time. So I get concerned about that. I'm no fool. I think there is something there with Trump and Putin. However, he is our president, and he seems to have a very strong hand when it comes to dealing with foreign relations. So I'm hoping that he can. I'm hoping that he can get something done to stop this war, because I think it's costing a lot of people's lives, and it's costing everybody in the world, especially the United States, a lot of money in terms of being able to help Ukraine, and it puts us in a bad position. So we don't want that to continue. So I'm all for hoping that the people make concessions so that war stops. And I think the general public is.
Right. A lot of people feel like it may tie into Epstein. What is your position on that as far as Putin?
When it comes to Putin and Epstein, I don't know if there's a huge connection. But however, we just don't know. Epstein had a lot of reach around the world. He had a lot of power. He knew a lot of people, and he had a lot of money. And then he has a connection to a lot of powerful men. So it would not surprise me that if Vladimir Putin had some information that could put Trump in a bad light, or put a lot of other people that are in high positions in a bad light. Because this thing with Epstein, it's just weird in terms of knowing that y'all have the ability to open those files up. You ran on the fact that you're going to open those files up, and then all of a sudden you pushed all of that to the back burner, and now you're not opening those files up. So that's what I get concerned about. Something's there, and we need to make sure that we see what's there.
You know, Hunter Biden, he came out with this whole position that Melania and Donald Trump kind of met through Epstein, perhaps something of that sort. So Melania this week came out with a big demand for an apology or pay $1 billion. Is that something, is that the beginning of a legal action?
It could. I mean, if Hunter's going to say something like that, she can definitely sue him for libel and or defamation. I mean, and so you know, he has to be careful with that, because she could actually file a lawsuit and of defamation when you have that kind of situation where you are trying to put her with one of the worst child criminals I think we've ever had in this world, that had money and power. I think you got to be careful with that if you're Hunter Biden. In addition to that, I don't know how much money Hunter Biden has, but I don't think he has a lot. So he needs to be extremely careful about making those kind of accusations. And I think he has his own stuff to worry about, so he probably should keep his mouth closed.
Yeah. Is it more difficult to bring a defamation case against a public figure versus a regular civilian?
Sometimes it can be, but it depends on what you're saying. Something like this, Hunter Biden could get himself sued by just saying something like that. And if he continues to do it, you do it one time, maybe you get away with it. But if you continue to do something like that, you could get sued for defamation. Sometimes it's harder when you're a public figure because everybody kind of says stuff and speculates certain things. But when you're somebody like Hunter Biden and you were to continue to do something like that, that would be of high concern.
Right. When it comes to the president of the United States, and especially with all this circulating drama with Epstein, wouldn't it make sense to just release the files and call it a day? Or you think it's much more difficult?
I think it's difficult because one or two things is probably there. He probably has some kind of connection to Mr. Epstein because Mr. Epstein was connected to a lot of money. And there may be implications of him being involved in some things. Now, I'm not going to say that Mr. Trump was involved in some of the things that Epstein was doing, but that could be a high possibility, or there could be some connections of people that are close to Mr. Trump having those connections with Mr. Epstein. I've heard a lot of names were on the flight manifest. There's pictures of Clinton with Epstein, Trump with Epstein, Epstein with a lot of famous people that have connections to either. And so those are the concerns that we would think about. You know, that's the concerns I would think about when it comes to releasing those files. I think he knows that there's something in there that may put him in a bad light, whether he did something or not. There's definitely something there that probably is not going to put him in a good light.
Also, in connection with this, we see that Maxwell was sent to a softer prison, or they call it a comfy prison. Does that perhaps tell us something about this whole scenario, or is that common?
To me, that's not common with somebody in her position. I mean, she was helping Epstein do a lot of stuff. And so to have her move to a minimum security prison light where she can do a lot of things freely, that would concern me because she was, from what we were been told, she was kind of the gopher for Mr. Epstein. She was kind of the go-between for Mr. Epstein. If you know what Epstein did out in Florida and how they would find girls, recruit them in, and then slowly start getting them to do stuff with either Mr. Epstein or other people, you truly would understand the sickness of what was going on there. And he was using Miss Maxwell to get girls, and then he would get Miss Maxwell was getting those girls to get other young girls to be able to bring to Jeffrey. And I think that anybody doing that, if it was one of us, we'd be looking at getting skinned, you know, or getting charged and being in jail for 400 or 500 years. And for her to be able to move to a light prison or a minimum security prison is something that really startles me and really makes me wonder, does she know something that she's going to talk about? And are they afraid of that? And so they're kind of bowing down to what she wants. And is she going to be part of a future investigation where she's going to give up information to be able to find more of these people that were involved in Epstein's dealing? So I know it's one of those two things, but that would really concern me.
Is it true that in a federal case, usually you have to serve 85% of your time?
Yes, it is. However, there are things you can do to shorten your time. There's classes you can take depending on those classes and depending on the amount of time you got. You can shave anywhere between 6 and 18 months off of your sentence. But typically 85% of your time you have to serve, and then you can actually be released if they think you're worthy of being released. And typically most of these sentences nowadays also follow with a 3 to 5 year period of probation after you get out. But yes, true, you have to really do about 85% of your time. Now, there are other programs and there are other ways you can get your sentence cut, typically by taking a program or snitching that you can do. So it just kind of depends.
Okay, so in this particular case, I believe she's 4 years into her sentence. In the cases that you've seen over the years, how long until your time do you normally get switched to a softer prison?
It could just depend. It could depend on how things were at the prison where she was at. She may be involved in other investigations closer to the prison that she's at right now. She may be providing information. They may want to isolate her from the more violent prisoners to make sure nothing happens to her, especially considering what happened to Mr. Epstein. Or she could be providing information, and for that information, they may say, hey, look, we can't cut your time, but we can place you in a place that's going to be easier to do your time at. So there's a lot of variables when it comes to that. We just don't know. It just kind of depends.
Okay. Now, they made a big deal about, I believe, the grand jury files being released. Was that just a smokescreen, or is that possible under certain circumstances?
I think it was a smokescreen. And see, that's the thing. They said they were going to release all of this information, that the public was going to know a lot of this information. And what has happened is they have not done that. And so that's why I'm concerned about that. Now, with the grand jury information, sometimes that stuff doesn't get out and can't be released because there's information there and there's personal. However, there's a lot of information initially that Mr. Trump said he was going to release, and he just did not do it. I mean, they held a press conference with a big stack of papers sitting there saying that they were going to release this information to the public. And see, those are the things that concern me. And you'll have people that will take up for him just because they support him, and they say, oh, no, this is what's happening over here, and this is why he can't release it. Well, he shouldn't have told us by sitting a stack of papers in front of us that they were going to release the Epstein files and they were going to be released shortly. You can't bait and switch and then expect us to say, oh, now the judge is holding up, or now that's illegal. You should never come out if you're the president and say you're going to disclose something to us and then go back on your word and don't disclose it. Or you should seek counsel to ask, hey, is this something that we can release? And if it's something that you can't release, then never tell the public that you're going to release it. That's kind of where I'm at. You got to be honest about what you can and can't do and what you're going to do. That's my concern.
Yes, I believe Epstein is like the biggest deal when it comes to the whole MAGA movement, getting rid of anybody associated with Epstein. There's something that I noticed within the last 2 weeks is that I'll give you three cases. Donald Trump seems to be going after people who brought on legal action against him or his nemesis. Number one, Barack Obama. They're saying, oh, he's treasonous. He did something. Also, Adam Schiff, they brought on mortgage fraud against him. He was big on Donald Trump's case. And also Letitia James here in New York, they're going after her for her mortgage. Is that normal to see people use the legal world or the government to go after their personal vendettas?
It's not normal, and we need to be careful about that. And see, that's the authoritarianism that he has come to be known for. I'm highly concerned that he is using his office of the president to be able to go after people like this. And we got to be careful about that, because what you don't want to do is when we change power and then you have the Democrats going to do that. Or you don't want to have Mr. Trump have the power to do what he's doing, because he literally could wipe out any of his competition for being in power by going after them randomly for stuff that they did or did not do. And see, that's the concern we have. It seems like he is weaponizing the Department of Justice and the federal prosecutors against people that he does not agree with or that he has had past grievances with. And those folks are just doing their jobs. And see, that's where you got to be careful, because in the future, when you have public officials that work in the Department of Justice, that work in the FBI, that work in the federal prosecutor's office, when a president or a sitting leader violates the law, are they going to be gun shy now, knowing that, hey, maybe this person gets back in the office and then they proceed to go after me? So that's why you do not want Trump to be doing what he's doing. He's kind of upsetting the apple cart for separations of powers and checks and balances, because what you have is him going after people that probably had legitimate investigations into what happened with him as he left the presidency the first time. You got to remember, when you look at January 6th and what happened at the Capitol, and all those people going up there deciding that they were going to break in and that they were going to go after sitting members of Congress. Thank God nobody got in, but that could have been a disaster. That could have been a huge disaster. You literally had people that if they would have gotten in there, some of them were willing to take the lives potentially or do great harm to the people that were serving our country. And so we need to be very, very careful about that.
Do you think there's a possibility we might see Barack Obama getting arrested?
I don't think that is going to happen. And I think that we need to be careful about that. I don't think that that's going to happen. But I think that when he starts to talk like this, we really, really, really need to be concerned when you look at it. At the end of the day, you got people that will say, well, I love Trump so much, I'm willing to let him do anything. And I think that we kind of have to get away from that. There's one thing to support somebody, but when you have people literally going after members of Congress as they are meeting, when you're trying to have the peaceful transfer of power, and you have people that were trying to break windows and get in and actually go after sitting members of Congress and their families, and when it came to Mr. Pence, then you have to highly be concerned about that, and that's something that as America, we should not be doing, regardless of whether you support Mr. Trump or not.
And speaking of Mr. Trump, President Trump, he basically, when he met with Putin last weekend, he brought up the whole issue of a fake election and all of that. Were you really thrown off by that he would be talking to someone about something of that nature?
I was thrown off, but at the same time, it doesn't surprise me that he would speak with Mr. Putin about something like that. I think he really admires Mr. Putin and the ability for Mr. Putin to remain president and remain in power so long. without the checks and balances that we have in the United States. And I think that that's what we got to be careful about. I mean, if you like Trump, hey, that's fine. He won the last election. He's the president. That's what we're going to roll with. But what we're not going to do is to overstep your power as president and think that you can do anything to anybody. And that's the concern that we got to start having, because people are not going to allow themselves to just be handled any kind of way when you have somebody doing some of that overstepping. And that's kind of where we are with that. And I think that's where we got to be careful.
It seems like with all this commotion that he might run into big trouble for the midterm elections. Do you think that's why we're getting all of these distractions like what we see happening in Texas?
I think we are, because I think he's going to have a problem at the midterm elections. The economy is not doing as good as people would have liked it to. He cut a lot of jobs with the federal government. He's cutting taxes on big corporations. And instead of those corporations investing into their communities and into the public, they cut a lot of jobs. You got a lot of jobs that are being cut. You got a lot of benefits that are being cut. And don't get me wrong, some people should not be able to stay on federal benefits forever. But some of the things are being cut were very essential to people. And I try to tell people sometimes running a business and running a government is two separate things. Running a business, you're running a business to make profit. When you're running a government, yes, you want to do it physically responsibly, but you're providing a service, right? So when you're providing a service to your citizens, if you don't provide that service to the citizens, those consequences could be very, very serious. And so those are the concerns that we got to be careful about.
Okay, so speaking of Texas, is there any update with the whole redistrict?
Well, they I think they're still holding out. They haven't came back yet. Of course, Mr. Abbott is threatening those folks to come back. But the concern that we have is that one of those seats, of course, is my district with Jasmine Crockett, who I know personally. She was elected in our district. And then Mark Vesey, as well as Al Green. Those are three prominent African Americans who are very vocal about the current administration. And it seems like they had been targeted. And it seems like that these lines that they have drawn are just weird. And when I say they're weird, there'll be a lot of comments in the comments section about, oh, well, it's not this, it's not that. Well, I live in Dallas. I've been living in Dallas my entire life. The only time that I've not lived in Dallas is when I was either in college or law school or working out of town at a law firm before I became an attorney. So I kind of know what's happening in these communities, and I know how the lines probably should be drawn. And what they've done is wiped out her seat, tried to wipe out Mark Vesey's seat, now Green's seat. And I think that you got to be careful, because Dallas and Houston, which will both be heavily affected, they basically together make up probably the highest African-American population in the country of a state, because you have the fourth and fifth largest metropolitan areas in the entire United States. And you're having those particular communities being redistricted to where they won't have any African-American representation. And so we got to be careful about that. Not saying that there always has to be somebody who looks like us that represents us, but when you specifically redistrict African Americans out of the seat, and they happen to be three of the most vocal African Americans, and then you have the largest African American population in any state across this country, because you have the cities of Dallas and Houston in those metro areas, then we have to be extremely careful about that. So that's what I would be concerned about.
Yeah, sorry about that, Mel. His internet started to have an issue.
Okay.
So what do you think about the way that the districts are being drawn? Like, I actually did a show, and I talked about how crazy it was, the way that these districts are being drawn. What do you see as the biggest issue about the way that districts are being drawn?
They're putting communities that have no connection to each other with each other. Those communities are being drawn. I mean, those lines are being drawn in a way to where certain communities that don't share a lot are now being placed together. And the only reason why they are being placed together is for power. They're not being placed together for proximity. They're being placed together for power. And what they've kind of done, from what I've seen, is they've cut out the African American areas, and they put one here, a couple of the 3 or 4 of the communities in one district, 3 or 4 of the communities in another district, so that that those districts, even though you have a high level of African Americans voting in each, those districts are already established for other folks, and you're going to have a more difficult time electing a person of color, even though you have communities that are sitting right next to each other that share proximity and they share concerns. And so those are the things that we get concerned about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I want to actually give a visual representation of what is exactly happening. So let me just play this right here, because we were talking about this earlier on my channel. So let's go.
Battle over redistricting continues to play out. But now Texas House Democrats have some demands that they're making before they return back to Austin. Trevor Sohaki is live for us in our newsroom this morning with more details on those. And Trevor, what do the Democrats want exactly?
Well, Carmen, the Democrats have 2 big conditions they want fulfilled before they say they'll come back to the Capitol. Number 1, they want Republicans to end the current special session. Number 2, they want California Democrats to redraw their congressional map to offset the 5 U.S. House seats Republicans aim to flip in Texas. But Republicans say Democrats are in no position to make demands.
I find it hilarious that they're trying to put demands on us. Look, I've been saying this from the very beginning. There is
Now this guy's from Fort Worth. Now, who is this guy? Do you know who he is?
I don't know who he is. He's obviously somebody who's elected out there, and he
Fort Worth.
Fort Worth. Which Fort Worth is really red. Dallas itself is really a blue city. Fort Worth is more red, and they're kind of MAGA out there. So I don't care.
They're MAGA in Fort Worth. Is MAGA? Yeah. Oh,
more
wow.
in Fort Worth than Dallas. So they're trying to cut off African American power there. They even have somebody that is on their commissioner's court that we considered a very racist person who talks down to a lot of people in the African American community, as well as at the commissioner's court. So I want to show you Tim O'Hare. So they're trying to take us backwards, and it's going to cause a huge problem because there's a lot of concerns about protecting the rights of people of color, especially African Americans.
All right, so I want to show this. So what's going to happen? We're going to see a map, and I really want to drive this home. Let's go.
No deals to be made.
The Texas House has not reached a quorum since August 3rd, nearly 2 weeks ago. Democrats left Texas to prevent Republicans from forcing a vote on new congressional district maps. Those new maps could flip 5 seats from blue to red in the U.S. House.
All right, so I don't think that y'all saw that, right? I want to really make this a point to show this. All right, so you see, this is they did it real fast, so fast. See, so this is the current map, right? Red, red, red. All right. I would say right about here is where Jasmine Crockett is at, right?
No, she's up here.
Up at the top?
Yeah. Al Green. They're messing with Al Green down there where you're at.
Oh, okay. So that's Al Green at the bottom. Okay. So Jasmine's up here.
Yeah.
All right. So, and I wish I wish I could zoom in, but let's go.
God damn.
Look at y'all. Look at how it looks right here. Can y'all see this?
Mm-hmm.
Watch when they change that shit to what they really look. Watch this.
5 seats from blue to red in the U.S.
You see how they got rid of the whole thing?
Yeah.
I mean, that is crazy.
But once again, that's why you got to be careful what they're trying to do, because those communities don't really share a lot in terms of people, in terms of community needs and proximity. And so the way that they're cutting those things up we got to definitely be careful about that. We got to welcome Mel back. What's going on, Mel? You back?
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened with the internet, but anyway, good deal. So before we get back to that other video, I wanted to switch gears to Diddy. This week, it came out in the press that what really kicked off his case, or a big instrumental part, was it was a gentleman that came out and said that he had abused 8 individuals and 2 minors and all of that, so much so that they called in a grand jury. What do you do with something like that when the case is built on what they call lies? He's actually suing them because it's so terrible.
Well, see, that's why sometimes you just don't know. I mean, as a investigator, you're supposed to vet these stories out. But when you have somebody like Mr. Combs that has a lot of power, has a lot of influence, and when they start to look into things and they see a few things, when they see that you're connected to escorts, when they know that you and Cassie had an issue where you tried to basically punt her head by kicking her and beating her. And so what happens is sometimes when you start an investigation based off somebody reporting something, you never know what's going to happen when you lift the covers and then, stuff start coming out. And I think that's kind of where you have the issue, because somebody could be lying about something, but when you start to look, you start to see things. And then the next thing you know, you're starting to go a little deeper, and you're starting to find actual crimes. And so who knows what you can do with that? It just depends, Are you talking about I think he was kind of a short, stocky man, because I've seen him on several occasions. I think that he was known to be a dope head or a drug head, and he was known to do some of the freak offs with Cassie. Are we talking about that individual guy?
Or
We're
black, stretching almost 100 square miles. Arlington is famous for AT&T Stadium, the home of the.
We're talking about the guy who they call the fake TD Jakes. I think his name is Courtney Barris. He has a dark-skinned fellow with a beard.
Okay.
But basically, he's the individual that claimed that he had access allegedly to the videos of various freak-offs, and he had an attorney, and they actually called a grand jury.
Wow.
And so it turned out that I don't think any of these videos were ever produced. And so therein lies the problem.
Yeah, there lies now. If it's that kind of situation, then of course, because somebody made a false accusation that cost you, number one, it cost you to be investigated. You're lying about somebody being involved in some criminal activities, especially criminal activities involving children. I would be highly concerned about that. I think something should happen to that person. If I was Diddy, I'd go after him. And that when it comes to the federal government, when somebody tells you something like that, you're supposed to be able to properly vet that before you start to try to do certain things. You don't just take that information and run with it. If you're doing a proper investigation, you should vet that and then see where it's going to go.
Right. He's actually suing them along with the news network for $100 million.
Wow.
Tons of money, right?
That's a lot of money. And if you're a news network and you're going to air or actually put out that kind of information, you got to do your due diligence. You cannot just take a person's word and then put him on your channel and then just let him run his mouth when you know it could be extremely damaging. And you did not even vet the information that the person was going to put out there. You got to be extremely careful about that.
Do you think that he's still on the hook for those 2 charges, that would have a negative effect on the civil cases that Diddy started?
I don't think it will, because if somebody completely lied about what they had and they completely lied about what was going on and they knew that, I don't think that's going to affect that a lot.
Okay, so we see a lot in the media when it comes to defamation. You see that, I think her name is Candace Owens, I believe. She has a big lawsuit as far as I think France and the Macrons. What are your thoughts on that particular case?
Man, she's in trouble. She shouldn't have done that. When you accuse a married woman of being a man, originally being a man, and you come out there and you do it in serious fashion, you have defamed that person. And when they probably contacted her and told her, hey, you need to retract that, you need to apologize. They probably even gave her the ability or the opportunity to do that. And she decided probably to double down. And she needs to be careful because she probably knew that was false. And you have defamed a person when you actually go out there and repeatedly report something that you know is false or that you have not did your due diligence on. And I think that Mrs. Owens going to have a problem.
So being that it involves another country, it'll just play out in the normal U.S. court system? Basically?
Yes, it can just play out in the U.S. court system. Even though she's a citizen of another country, it's going to be federal court. You can sue in federal court. And so she's going to have some issues potentially.
Okay, but still, at some point, they would have to come and sit in the courtroom and go through the process.
Definitely,
right?
Definitely.
There was another question that I had when we were talking about Hunter Biden, in fact. So if Melania Trump sues Hunter Biden, both Trumps will have to sit for a deposition, you think, or just Melania?
Probably just Melania. Probably just Melania. I don't see Trump having to sit for that deposition, but that's one thing that you always got to be careful about when you sue somebody, because if you have some skeletons in your closet, you can end up letting some of those things out that you don't want people to know about. So when you sue somebody, sometimes you got to be careful about suing them because there may be some things that come out.
Right. I think I saw that a sitting president can be called in for a deposition, even though it may not happen in this case because he may not be tied in. I thought that was interesting because that's what happened with Bill Clinton, right? He sat for a deposition while he was in office.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. I want to get back to this video that we started off with because we only have 15 minutes left.
Okay.
I'm going to pull it up and we'll go through it, and I want to get your legal perspective on it.
Okay.
For you, this is Fox 4 News at 9 p.m.
It's terrible. The whole thing is just awful, but it is the law.
Well, Fox 4 obtained some new video showing more of what led up to a deadly gas station shooting. A grand jury recently indicted Emmanuel Hernandez in one of 2 shooting deaths. I'm Bria Leff.
I'm John Holt. It returned the same charges of voluntary manslaughter and armed criminal action. But the family of the brothers who were shot and killed question why the charges aren't murder. Fox 4's Dave DeMarco live at the Jackson County Courthouse tonight with the video you'll see only on Fox 4. Dave.
And I showed that video today to an attorney not involved in this case for his legal analysis of Missouri's Stand Your Ground law and its potential application here.
Can you just tell us briefly how the Stand Your Ground law works?
Stand your ground means when you're involved in the altercation, you don't have to retreat. Some states will make you retreat when you are involved in a situation where you're in a conflict or a fight where you have a duty to retreat before you can actually use deadly force. But in some states, you don't have to retreat. Once you become involved in that conflict, you can use force, sometimes even deadly force, to repel that particular attack.
Okay, thank you.
Family of Taylor and Byron Garrett say shooting last month at a Truman and Brooklyn gas station was a result of road rage. Probable cause statements make no mention of it, but video obtained by Fox 4 filed in the case seems to show Emmanuel Hernandez's silver Escalade and the Garrett's black Escape in close proximity on the roads for at least 3 minutes before the Escape made a turn after the Escalade at 12th and Brooklyn. The Garrett brothers arrived at the gas station first, and once Hernandez started towards the convenience store, surveillance video shows words briefly.
So I don't know, I just want to make sure you see it. The guy punches him, the Spanish guy, the black guy punches the Spanish guy as they're coming out of the store. I want you to see that as they're walking back to the gas pump.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay.
At least 3 minutes before the Escape made a turn after the Escalade at 12th and Brooklyn. The Garrett brothers arrived at the gas station first, and once Hernandez started towards the convenience store, surveillance video.
Okay, so that's the point where he punches the Spanish guy in the head.
Shows words briefly exchanged, and the taller brother striking Hernandez, and both men chasing him back towards his car.
Wow. Wow, bang, bang twice.
You had something you want to say? Go ahead.
This is what I'm going to say. I think that at that point, because he is by himself, he has two bigger individuals chasing him. At that point, he would have been able to use deadly force to repel any attack of him, because number one, it's a surprise attack. Those guys are bigger than him. It's two of them versus one of him. If he would have shot them then, I think he had a very, very strong case of self-defense, because you got 2-on-1. I got guys bigger than me. I got a surprise attack where I did not invoke or cause them to attack me. They attacked first. They were the aggressors. And so I think in that situation, he would have been right to be able to actually deal with them using deadly force based on that situation. Because not only that, he is actually retreating on top of all of that. And once he gets back to his truck, he doesn't have any duty to continue to retreat. He could lay him down if he needed to with a weapon by shooting them.
Okay. Also, he has a 7-year-old daughter in the car, just as a side point for you.
Exactly. So with that being said, he had every duty to be able to, at that point, to be able to lay those guys down at that point.
Okay. And just to give a little bit of the history on it, I believe the Hispanic guy was driving down the wrong side of the highway. And the two brothers, two black guys, are two actual physical brothers. They tried to let him know, hey, you're going the wrong way or what have you. Then they followed him into the gas station. Okay. So I'm gonna go back to the.
And see, that's another thing too. That's a problem for them.
Right. Okay. Let's go.
Attorney Dan Ross says what happened outside the gas station is certainly important.
So that's a prior incident. And so that's kind of the history of, even though it's a history that's only 30 seconds old.
And under.
So do you agree with that? It's a prior incident based on 30 seconds or so?
Yeah, it is, because for them, what you have to realize, those two individuals have shown the ability to attack him. And so his state of mind is going to be that because they have attacked him before, because they have been aggressive with him before, that they might do the same thing again. So that's going to be very important, especially because it happened in a close proximity of the incident, which means shortly after he's in the store and he sees him again and something else is happening, then he's going to have more of a justification, because his first interaction that happened with them, they were completely the aggressor even after he ran away.
Okay. Very good.
Missouri law, Emmanuel Hernandez didn't have a duty to retreat after the brothers left him at his SUV with his driver's side door open.
Could you explain that part too?
It means he did not have a duty to retreat, which means, like, if he gets to his driver's side door and they keep coming at him, he's justified to shooting them and actually using deadly force, because number one, he has to protect himself, and he has a little girl in the car. But even if she wasn't in the car, especially when he is at his vehicle, he can't really run anywhere else. You can't get in your car and start it, because if you do, you're going to compromise your position. So he could have at that point used deadly force against them, because it's 2-on-1. They were the aggressors. They're bigger than him. He would have been able to stand his ground at the truck.
Okay.
Inside, after appearing to argue, Taylor Garrett strikes.
All right. So he strikes him right off the bat inside the store.
And see, that's another concern that I have too, these individuals hitting him. It seemed to be that they just had words. It doesn't seem to be that he was a threat to the guy in the white. I don't know. I can't really say he was not a threat to him, but it looks like that the guy in the white initiated contact with him and hit him again. And I think the fact that his attorneys are probably going to try to say is, hey, this is his second time being attacked by these guys. He figured that these guys were not going to stop, and he felt like he had the right to be able to do what he was going to defend himself, because he probably felt like at that point that whatever happened before was going to happen again. And because that guy attacked him first, he's going to be able to say, hey, if I did not deal with this aggressive behavior, I was in fear for my life. And he's going to say he's able to use deadly force.
Okay, great.
Hernandez again, and Hernandez immediately pulls a gun from his waistband and starts firing, chasing after both men. Prosecutor Melissa Johnson said evidence showed that Taylor was the initial aggressor in the confrontation and Hernandez acted in self-defense, but she did file voluntary manslaughter.
You think that'll be tough to argue, or it's going to be an easy shut case?
This is the issue. Once he shot the guy and those guys are retreating, I think at that point, that's where he's going to have his problem. Because once he shot the guy, chasing them down as they're running away, that means the danger is no longer there. I think that's where you're doing too much. And I think that's where he's going to have his problem. Now, of course, because there was already an incident, they're probably going to try to go for involuntary manslaughter, like it says in the video, because of the situation of them having the altercation, and he did not initially set up to have a conflict with him to have to murder him, but because of that particular conflict, he died, and so that's where you're going to get involuntary manslaughter.
Okay, thanks. I just want to tell those in the audience, thank you guys for your participation. Please hit the like button, share, and subscribe if you like the material. We have this show every week on Sunday. We changed it this week, so the show will be at 8:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time each week. And thank you so much. Calvin, could you take a moment just to tell everybody here who you are and how they can find you?
My name is Attorney Calvin D. Johnson. I can be reached at attorneycalvindjohnson@gmail.com. My office number is 214-565-5600. And I can be reached on my website at theywon'tletmeout.com. I'm a 25-year practicing criminal defense attorney, and I also hold degrees from Howard Payne University here in Texas with political science and history. I'm a former city council candidate, as well as a 25-year business owner here in Texas by having my own law firm. I practice state, local, and federal criminal defense, and I've been doing it, like I said, for about 25 years. So that's who I am. That's what I do. 214-565-5600 is my phone number. Theywon'tletmeout.com is my website. And I can be reached by email at attorneycalvindjohnson@gmail.com. And if you would like to donate to our show, because, you know, we have to do this and it costs us a little bit, you can hit my Cash App at Calvin J, $3421 Calvin J, $3421. So that's my Cash App handle if you want to donate to the show. And if you want to have a super chat, come on up. We'll definitely read it out. So it's $ Calvin J, 3421. So that's my Cash App if you want to donate to the show. And if you want to do super chat, let us know. We're willing to do that today. And we want to just provide you with a good understanding of criminal situations or situations that arise because of crime, and what your duties as a citizen and what you can and can't do. So we're here to educate you and answer your questions.
Okay, so we're going to start allowing people to come up in about 3 or 4 minutes. So if you have questions, we only ask that you cut your camera on when you come up, and also be presentable and be respectable. We've had some people come up with the camera that created some major issues. So please just adhere to the YouTube policies. Okay, so we're going to get back to the video.
Charges in Byron Garrett's death, pointing out Hernandez shot him as he tried to retreat, then pistol whipped him as he stood over both men's bodies on the gas station floor.
There is no.
All right, so he pistol whipped them after he shot them repeatedly.
And see, that's a concern. When you alleviate the threat, if they're on the ground, if they're no longer a threat, you don't get to just empty your clip at them. And see, that's the problem that you're going to have a lot of the time. You can't control your anger sometimes when you're in the heat of the moment, the heat of that situation. But you're not, once you shoot somebody and you know they're bleeding and they're on the ground and they're no longer a threat, you don't get to walk up and pistol whip them. You don't get to do that. So that's where he's going to have his problem. That's probably why he's getting charged with involuntary manslaughter.
From a legal perspective, what argument could be made about his daughter being in the car? Does that change anything?
It does, because you're allowed to come to defense of yourself or a third person. Who wouldn't want to make sure that I'm out there with my daughter? I got two strange men who I've never met chasing me back to my vehicle. And if they're doing that, I will be able to shoot them if I feel like my life's at risk. Now, like I said, on the initial punch where the guy punches him, typically you're allowed to respond in like kind, which means if somebody punches you, you're usually allowed to punch them back. But when you have a situation where you got a guy who's really bigger than you and he's already assaulted you once, I think he would have been able to shoot the guy. But to stand over and shoot him multiple times and pistol whip them, I think that's where he went too far.
Okay, very good. So let's get back to it. We're going to finish this up. We have a guest that just came in, but I want to finish up the video first.
Clear answer to this. That's why you really enlist the jury to tell us, is this lawful action? It's the judge can't tell anybody. The prosecutor has made the charge. The grand jury has brought in the true bill. But eventually, if it goes to trial, the jury will tell us, especially given the self-defense law and the instruction, they'll tell us whether this was a lawful act by the defendant.
So as a jury case, if it goes to the jury, you think it'll be hard to decipher or no?
I don't think it's going to be hard to decipher. I think there may be some reluctance to convict this man from some people because he basically was attacked twice. But I think the problem that a lot of people are going to have is that once he shot the guy, you don't get to stand over him and shoot him extra times as well as pistol whip them while standing over them. I think that's where he's going to run into the problem at. But he may gain some sympathy from a jury because these two guys attacked him on several occasions, and this other guy hit him first and then hit him first on the second occasion. So if he has a good lawyer, that lawyer will probably try to make a great argument for him and not getting convicted of anything. But I think the fact that he stood over the guys and he pistol whipped them, I think that's going to be a problem.
What about the fact that the second brother did not hit him, but he still shot him and pistol whipped him?
Well, I think that because he had chased him before, they were brothers, and this individual is with the guy, and he's a threat too because he's the guy's brother. He's with the guy. He's chased me before. He's probably going to try to do something to me again because of that initial altercation. The guy did chase him before, so he will probably be right to attack both of them because he can consider both of them one. You know what I mean?
Right. When it's a case of multiple actors against you, does that play a major part as well?
Definitely, because you can't, like, I mean, you may be a great fighter, but it's going to be hard to whoop 3 or 4 guys by yourself, even if you're a boxer. In addition to that, if you're smaller and they're bigger than you, that's going to play a factor in this too. I want you to think about this. That guy's smaller than both of the guys, and one guy's really bigger than him. So all those things are going to be taken into account. In addition to that, you got somebody bigger than you who also threw the first punch on 2 occasions. So that's of high concern.
Okay, very good. I think we're almost at the end of the video.
And Hernandez posted $5,000 bond. John, he's due in court here on August 26th.
You notice they set the bond low, right?
Yes.
They set the bond low. They didn't set the bond that high because they felt like, based on what had happened to him earlier that day, that he probably wouldn't have committed this crime if them guys wouldn't have been going at him like they did. I think that they're going to be in trouble. I think anybody looking at this this case and those videos are going to see that these guys were ultra aggressive toward him and that they attacked him on 2 occasions. Now, to me, okay, I get that. Even if you shoot him in the gas station, I even get that too. But to stand over them and shoot them multiple times and pistol whip them, I think that's where he went too far. And I think that that should be at least in an involuntary manslaughter situation there.
Have you ever represented someone with a similar case?
I actually have. It's crazy. Well, she didn't actually have to shoot anybody, but she got charged with several aggravated assaults. There was a lady. Her baby dad was a bouncer at a nightclub. She went to ask him about school clothes money. He proceeded to have a girl that he was dating try to come out and fight her. And she was good at fighting, so she was really fighting the girl off. The girl's boyfriend saw her losing, so both of them start fighting her. And because my client could really fight, she was getting both of them. And then his friend and the girlfriend of his girlfriend. So it ended up being 4 or 5 on one. And she tried to retreat, and she ended up getting to her car, pulling her weapon and pointing it at all 5 of the individuals. She actually shot 1 bullet. She didn't hit anybody, but it was a situation where we took her to a jury trial, and she got found not guilty because these other folks were the aggressors, and there was multiple people on one person. So even though they didn't have a gun, they didn't have a weapon, she was allowed to use a weapon because you had 4 or 5 people trying to fight one. So anytime you have numbers, you can actually use weapons. You can use more force to protect yourself, because in your mind, you're like, it's more than one person. I'm not just fighting one person. And all of these people are coming after me. So we were able to take that to full jury trial. They tried her for 3 cases of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. And we got not guilties on all 3 and only took the jury about 10 minutes.
Is there any argument that may come out of this case that we just watched, being that he brought a gun into the store and that's where he fired on him and not at his car?
No, he might have had a gun on him the first time. We don't know that. In addition to that, now you can carry guns. I think Missouri, as well as Texas and these places, are now where it's open carry. You can carry into stores. You can carry wherever you're at. But I think that's probably, he may have even had the gun the first time. Probably didn't want to pull it because they were at his truck and his child was around. But when he went in the store and the guy punched him again, that's where he probably pulled his weapon and shot him. And then I think if he had to go into the store, I would have just left. But if he even had to go into the store, he may have been justified in having his weapon with him. I think that's the concern that I would have if I was prosecuting this case, is because of the previous altercation of these guys beating up a guy that's smaller than them. And then, in addition to that, they were the aggressors. Not saying that they had to lose their life because of that, but when you punch people randomly and you're bigger than them, and it's 2-on-1, and you do it again. In today's world, we have to make the assumption that people are packing and carrying guns, and anything can happen. And so people are not going to take kindly to that, especially when you're bigger than they are. So that's what we got to think about.
Do you think there's a possibility he'll get a lot of time for this, or not really?
Nah, I don't think he's going to get a lot of time. I think a jury is going to be sympathetic to him. Even if they convict him, I don't see them giving him a lot of time for this because of the 2 attacks and the way that everything happened.
Okay. All right. Very good. So I'm going to turn it over to DJ Genesis to bring up guests. Anyone who has questions now, feel free to come up, and we'll start off with number 1.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing? I see you got your little mask on today.
Yes, I was live a few minutes ago, and I said I cannot miss the chance of coming to speak to Calvin and also Mel.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How you doing, Mel?
I'm okay. I'm doing good.
Good. How you doing, Calvin? You looking at me good this time? I said, "Ooh,
hey man, listen, hey man, I love that. The mask is unique. We went to a masquerade party last year, and so we had to have masks. So it's a nice mask. I mean, you can actually use that at a masquerade party.
You know what? I said, I'll just come on up and be at the masquerade party right now. I don't do nothing but talk so much. But you know what, Calvin? I wanted to ask you a question, because I know just now it kind of struck me when you said, you guys were talking about the case, and you said that it's only so much that people are going to take, because it's like you beat them up and you beat them up. It's only so much that people are going to take. Remember you said that a few minutes ago?
Oh, definitely.
So it kind of took me back. I'm like, you know what? Then I think Calvin to understand when I say that sometimes you could beat people up so much and they just can't take it anymore. And I think for me, it seems like, again, that's what's going on with this Republican versus Trump versus back to the redirecting and stuff like that. It seems like the people are to a point where they can't take it anymore. And it seems like they're pressing decisions to want to go red instead of go blue. You think it's because of that? Like, because I'm noticing with the protesting, it's not that many people showing up these days, except maybe the illegals that shouldn't be here anyway. But the Democrats,
I think it's more of a situation where I think that the Democrats have their problem is that they have lost the ability to advocate for normal folks.
Right, there you go.
And I think that's where the problem is. But with that being said, we got to be very careful about how we do things, even when the Republicans, when you were in control, because who knows how the wind blows? Maybe 6, 8 years from now, the blue could be in, and we don't want them doing some of the things that the Reds are doing right now. But I do think there is going to be a backlash against the Democratic Party, is because, and I tell people this all the time, some people are going to get mad at me, they went too damn far left.
Yep.
I mean, normal folks ain't with all that stuff that they're doing over there. I mean, if look, I'm a man, I got a wife and a kid, and I don't want the schools talking to my child about certain things. I don't want my daughter being at a disadvantage if she's on some sports team. I don't want to have to worry about what name I'm calling somebody, this and that. I really, my attitude is that's not something that schools should really be focused on. They need to be focused on educating people.
Right.
So there are a number of issues that I think that I think Black people in general, especially the ones that are 45 and above, 50 and above, they tend to lean somewhat conservative in terms of some of those values. And I think that the Democratic tent is going to have to decide how far left they're willing to go. And I think that there needs to be a course correction. The Democratic Party needs to understand that they need to have the ability to advocate for regular folks. Now, I always tell people, I don't think either one of these political parties are 100% for us.
Right.
But I also understand that you have to vote the other way to make one side correct what they're doing. And I can definitely understand that, but I think that we have to be careful as well, because there is a wing of that Republican Party that don't like us, and we need to be very careful when we go over there too much. And we need to make either side earn our vote. And when we're over there, we need to be respected, whether what side, the Republican or Democrats. They need to earn our vote. And as people, as African Americans, we really start to have to look and see what's best for us.
Right.
Some of the stuff that's far left is not best for us. And we need to understand that and course correct. And that's just my attitude.
Right. And you know what, Calvin, I'm going to take you back on that too, because I do agree with you. And I feel like the ones that didn't cross over yet, I wonder, are those the ones that are more fearful because they didn't cross over? Because when I look at the overall synopsis of this situation, I see that there's more Blacks that's actually the ones that's crossing over. So you are saying, do you think that it's the Blacks that may be not knowing the decisions that they want to make? Or do you think they may have been so fed up and tired and that they understand that maybe at this time in our life, red, you have to take the emotions off the table and just follow what you think is right? And do you think that's why so many Blacks right now, Americans, because them Africans say they're not us, they're not like us. And I want to be clear, but do you think that's why so many Black Americans, take everybody else off the table? What about Black Americans? You think is that why they have crossed over so much now, especially in the younger generation?
I think that they have crossed over, number one, but I also think that there are a number of things at play. There's been a de-emphasis of history. And I think that we do need to understand our history so that we don't repeat it. I'm no fool. I think that there are parts of the Republican Party that are not for us. And I think there's a whole wing of folks over there that do not care about us. Listen, this is not my first time having a show. I spent some time on conservative talk radio, being kind of a middle of the road conservative Democrat on a show. So I kind of understand that you got to be careful about how far you go over there. But I do understand the plight of African Americans and some of us looking at the Democratic Party and say, I don't know what the hell they're doing over there, but they went too far. They're supporting things that are not going to make us better as a people. And I definitely understand that. But the ones that don't go, that decide to stay on the Democratic side, you can't criticize them because they have their reasons.
But wait, Calvin. See, then you went over there, and then now you making me have to go back on what something you just said. You said that the folks not gonna take stuff like that when they see things happening, they see things going on, and folks don't want to take stuff like that. So you trying to tell me, Calvin, that at the round towards the end of Clinton term and Obama getting in office and not truly having ties and connections to the United States, you're not telling me that Obama, Clinton, and Biden them did not know and they did not see the snowball effect of illegal immigrants, let's just start right there first. They did not see the snowball effect. They've been in office for for the last 24 years, -4 with Trump, that shook the things up. Everybody know about him because he had to wake everybody up. You don't think that they knew that these illegals was coming in?
Yeah, that's why Obama, they
all
did
over
know.
money.
But remember, we're gonna talk numbers. Remember, Obama deported more people than Trump, Biden, and Clinton. And Queen, hold on. Let's be real. You already saw the numbers. We already had to show you. You saw the numbers now. So let's be honest. Don't go after that man and knowing that the numbers were there that support him deporting more people. I mean, it is what it is. The numbers are the numbers. You can't argue that.
So how many got in? Where did they come from? On whose turn did they come in on?
Probably, I'm telling they probably came in more here recently with Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. They seem to just let people walk over here. I mean, I think that's kind of what that was, because let's be honest, especially in Texas, there was a time that the Texans and the Republicans in Texas benefited also from this immigration, because they had some people come pick these fields and do our agriculture down here and do some of the menial jobs that nobody else wanted to do. So let's be honest about that. Now, in terms of Biden,
on all of them.
But on Biden, and when it comes to Biden and Kamala Harris, to me, they really let this thing get out of control. But I think
should they be charged with treason?
No, they shouldn't be, because as a whole,
they knew it.
Because as a whole, let me finish to answer my question. As a whole, the Republican Party also knows that they didn't want to do anything about immigration because they knew that they could use it to be able to do what they're doing now. See, I'm not like most people. I'm not heavy red. I'm not heavy blue. I'm an independent thinker. I'm an independent thinker, which means I'm going to call a spade a spade. If I'm the Republican Party and I know that immigration is something that I can win on, if I'm in control of Congress, I might not do anything either, because I can point to the Democrats and say, we just gonna let that happen. But that's just kind of where it's at. And at the same time, what can you do? But at the same time, I'm no fool. I wouldn't have, if I'm Biden and Kamala Harris, I wouldn't have let folks just walk over here and then let the amount of money, resources, and trouble that came from that happening to happen. But when it comes to Obama and people saying treason and all that, now that's Trump talk. That's him trying to use his power to go after somebody. And I think that's what we got to be careful about. We want people to be in control when they're president, but to air your grievances against somebody just because you don't like them is something you shouldn't be doing, especially when he even deported more people than you did the first time you were there. So that's why you got to be careful about it.
But Trump is getting way more turnout from Black people, Calvin, is what my main point is. So he's getting more turnout from Black people, so you don't feel like these Black Americans, not Africans, y'all, because y'all get twisted when we say that. You don't think that these Black Americans that are crossing over to Republican aren't the ones that's actually waking up and understanding that Republicans was way, way, way back in the days as well? And maybe the new Democrat is the new Republican.
I think what is happening is people that are crossing the road are saying, hey, I'm not for what is happening right now. The Democratic Party is not focusing on us enough. We don't like the immigration policy. We don't like what they're doing. We don't like the fact that they're focusing on all of those other groups and not us. And let's be honest, the African-American men still vote 80% Democrat. The African-American women still vote 90% Democrat. I think what you see in this particular situation is that African-American men and women, and especially when it comes to African-American men like myself, we're going to say, hey, look, you are going to pay attention to us. You're not going to tell us to wait until whenever. In addition to that, as men, we want to make sure that we protect our families. We want to make sure that we have jobs so we can make money to protect our families. And as men, we're not with some of the stuff that goes far left, because let's be honest, some of the policies that are being pushed are not going to lead to more Black babies being born. And I'm not here to argue abortion and LGBT, but if those situations do not create babies being born. And so when you think about that, as African Americans, should we be advocating situations that are not going to have more of us being born? And those are things that people think about. And then you got African Americans who are religious, and they say that based on their religious beliefs, that based on some of the policies that the Democratic Party is pushing, that they can't get with those things for religious reasons, because we typically can be more conservative, especially when we get older. And see, we got Baba down here, and so I want to ask him a question actually about something that, and I'm glad he's here because I definitely wanted to ask him a question. Baba, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Calvin, how you doing today, bro?
I'm doing fine. What I wanted to know that is, as a person of faith, how and this is a hot question. When it comes to the Democratic Party with LGBTQ and abortion, I always wanted to know how do people that are religious, how do they deal with that particular issue?
Okay, that's a very hot and sticky subject, especially being in the ministry as long as I was, and we've discussed it in many settings in the clergy. And the thing about that is, and I want you to hear me out, because this has been a problem. The LBG, well, we call them the alphabet people. Okay, first and foremost, can you control nature? As we individuals, can we control nature?
I don't think we can.
Okay, no. And there are certain things in the world that the Bible don't even address.
Nope.
And that's the thing called hermaphrodite. Okay. True. There are people born with both genitals. They had nothing to do with it. It had to do with the chromosomes. We have no right trying to go and determine about people's natural sexuality when we have no control over it. You understand? And the church, and the church is wrong for trying to demonize something that it cannot alter or change. That is scripture in the Bible says, where there is no law, sin is not imputed. And there are no laws to cover all that. A lot of that is prejudice concept. These are people, they are alive, they are souls, and it says, judge ye not. We sit around judging, creating things and creating problems for people that we cannot change. This is why I love the thing called serenity prayer. And let me say this: give me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change that I can't, and give me the wisdom to know how. You can't change these folks because there's an imbalance. You call it imbalance. Where did you get your degree to say what it is? People are, do you know that people are born with tails? They're actually born with tails.
And that's why I wanted to ask this question. And the reason why I asked that question is because a lot of people don't want to address it. And I'm gonna be fair to anybody. I'm not prejudiced against anybody. I have friends that are gay. There's a lawyer that I work with on a daily basis, and she is trans. And so I want those people to be treated fairly and to be treated normally. I have no issue with them. I just always wanted to know that and when it comes to people of faith, how you guys are dealing with that.
Well, my thing is this: do they live and die like we do?
Right.
Do they not suffer the same thing that we do?
Yep.
Yes.
What gives the authority to tell them, man, what he can and cannot be? There's like you call it imbalance, but where'd you get your degree in biology to tell me what I can be? As a man thinketh, so is he. We got to let everything do what it do and respect it for what it is.
And I want to
and as a minister of 40, I had to learn because I put everybody in here. Everybody that has no control. You got children that are born in the world that has these feminine tendencies or masculine. We call them tomboys back in the day, and this, that, and the other. But these labels, something we've done to divide the people. Okay, that is not fair. As a minister myself, ordained, I had to learn that everything, when it comes to nature and the creator, if you don't run it, you can't change it. You have no right to judge it. But we'll do things because of our own insecurities and our phobias. You understand?
Okay.
Yeah, and our misunderstanding. You don't know why people are the way they are or what came on, because these are a lot of reborn spirits that come in the world. And we have to realize, and I appreciate that, Calvin, because I fought that for 15 years. I mean, I laid them out, man. I put them fire and brimstone until one day the Spirit woke me up and says, can you change nature? What do you know about nature? Another thing, what gives you the right to tell a person what they can and cannot be? What's going on in their head? And what we feel run into a lot of time is the thing called the hypothalamus gland. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with that, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that determines a lot of things, but then too, it depends what society say. And we've caused more damage to these people than we've done good.
Great answer. Let me tell you what I want to do, because I want to make sure that we keep engaging people. That's exactly the answer. I'm glad that you gave it to us and you broke it down to us. I want people to ask questions, and we want to be able to answer their questions, because I want to keep these people engaged, especially people that are watching this channel. Like the question I just asked Baba, he broke it down for us. We want those questions to be answered. And if you have other questions, well, number one, we want y'all to hit the likes. In addition to that, if you have questions, right now we want to start questions, because we're in about the last 20 to 25 minutes of our show. And if you have comments or questions, go ahead and make those comments and questions right now, and we'll deal with them. Genesis, do you see anybody that has asked questions in the comment section that we can answer? What do you got? I guess she didn't hear us. Okay.
All right, I'll jump in. So
jump in, Mel.
Jerry says so many black people love to play the race card if someone disagrees with them.
I think what you got some people that do that, but let's be honest. There's reasons for black people feeling the way they feel based on how they ended up here and based on how some of the treatment that they endure in this country. I'm not saying that it's always racism, because I'm the type person, I don't care what another race or person is doing. I'm more concerned about what I'm doing and what my people are doing to us, right? So my whole deal is this on us. So I don't feel like another race of people control whether I'm going to be successful or not. There are some folks that take it to that level. However, let's not act like that some white people have not impeded black people from progressing, and that some of them don't particularly care for us, and they will be racist, and they will incur racist policies to make sure that certain things don't happen for us. That's not everybody. That's just some folks. It ain't everybody, because I know some good folks that are white, that are not like that, that are fair to everybody. And I can't say every white person or every black person is a particular way, but let's not act like that doesn't cut both ways. There's some black folks that do not care for white folks at all in any situation, and there's some white folks who don't care for black folks at all in any situations. But as an African American myself, I feel like us as a people, we have to focus on more on what we control, as worried about trying to control what somebody else is going to do, because we can't change or control them. We need to first work on what we can do for ourselves, so that we can solve a lot of our problems. Probably about 70-80% of our own problems we can fix on our own if we just start making better decisions.
Okay, so Calvin, I just want to address what you said. It's rare that I answer something anyway. And also, Bob, I want to address what your counter. So as far as the gay or homosexuality in the Bible, it's very clear that it's an abomination for a man to lie with a man or homosexuality. But when you look at the Pope, right, who sets the standard across the board, typically for most religions, most people will say, oh, well, we don't follow the Pope. But in honesty, I think a lot of people do quote the Pope. And the Pope says, hey, a person is born the way that they're born, which is a contradiction to what you read in text in the Bible. So I just wanted to add that to the discussion. All right.
You asking me, or you putting it out
there?
No,
I'm putting it out there that's where where it's coming from, because the scriptures are clear. Right?
Okay, but remember this: the scriptures is 85% opinions of other people. They does not deal directly with nature. That's men's writing and interpretation, transliteration. You know, I heard what you just saying, but at the same time, how many men understand the birth process? When a child is conceived, what's the first 14 weeks? What is it? And as it mature, what is it? The Bible don't give you the breakdown. See, the Bible itself has got a lot of folks mixed up, because to me, it's a lot of men's opinions about what they think a thing ought to be. Okay, we say, well, homosexuality. Where did it, and what is homosexuality? You know, where did the word come from? And what does it really mean? Because there's places in the Bible where the Bible says it'll be two men laying in the bed, I'll take one and leave one. There's one place the Bible says, reach your brother with a holy kiss. There are a lot of things in there that we look at and say, wait a minute. There'll be two men in the bed, I'll take one and leave one. Two women in the bed, take one and leave one. See, so a lot of times we get caught in religion and not spirituality. And that's the problem. Most religion has these books that are written by men, and they're mostly, I call them their opinions, and they're not really holy. It's based on the time they're in and where they are at that time. But we can't make everything fit that now, because that was time we didn't have people. We didn't have clone people. We got clones. We didn't have what you call the test tube babies. We got all kind of folks on this planet now. You know, and determine what there is, it says, be careful how you entertain strangers, but some have been changed angels unaware. You don't know what you're dealing with. And to go around trying to relate with people, that's tricky, because every religion, be it Christianity, Islam, all of them, they got these books. They're written by men who claim to be prophets, but these mostly are opinions of that individual. You know, and Paul said, I would all men with as me have never touched a woman. Now name me a man ain't touched a woman.
The other part of sometimes what I see, and I try to tell people this, I think that sometimes especially when it comes to being in public office and it comes to trying to tell people what they can and can't do, I can believe something and then not force it on you. My feel is that if something is wrong, it's wrong, and I'm gonna call it wrong. However, you may think that I'm wrong in saying it's wrong, and that's fine. But I'm not going to push my ideology on you to say that you're living wrong. The problem that I also have, though, is some on the left are starting to push what they believe onto everybody else, and then that's where you're having a problem. Especially, I think that and I have this conversation with a lot of men, especially our African American men. They're saying, "Look, okay, do what you want to do there, but at the same time, you can't push what you think and what you believe on us and inconvenience us and not to consider us." And I think when we talk about that globally, when I say globally, I think that idea is actually causing us a problem. When I say it's causing us a problem, because there are a lot of people in this country that are starting to vote. I would say vote more. Let's say vote more red, because they feel like the people in blue and the people on the far left are basically forcing you and making you feel a particular way or say a particular thing, and they're not giving you the freedom to feel how you feel about it. And there's some things in the Democratic Party that you're not even allowed to talk about, or they're going to banish you. And I think that's a problem. And so that's why I think that we have a problem all the way around when it comes to the Democratic Party. That's why they're starting to lose. That's why they've lost these offices. And if they don't correct what they're doing, they're going to have a problem. And when it comes to religion, there are going to be people who feel like Baba feels, and then there are going to be people who are more traditionalists that feel the complete opposite. My attitude is, to me, if you're going to come to God, I want you to come on your own. I'm going to tell you about him. I want you to come. I'm not going to force it on you, because if I'm forcing it on you, you're really not coming to God. You're not going to stay with him. But that's just my attitude toward everything. But at the same time, we got to be extremely careful when we start talking about those things, because right now, I mean, there's a lot of people that will tell you that because church has become less traditional and because church has become more like the world, why even go to church? And there's some people that are feeling that way. That's why you have a lot of churches literally cutting staff. You got a lot of people that are not being raised in the church. You got a lot of people not going to church, because some people feel, hey, church is either on one end not inviting enough and not understanding enough of people that are LGBTQ, that live a different lifestyle. They're not understanding enough when it comes to that. And then you got some people on the other end of that spectrum that are going to say, hey, y'all, anything goes now in church, so why go to church anyway? So I think the church is suffering from both of those issues, and they're unable to define themselves. And when it comes to that particular issue, I think that's where you look at it at, you know? That's just
Am I just the only one that feels that who you're sleeping with should not be something that everybody is discussing? If
But
you,
but then that's
whatever
the thing.
weird stuff you're into, if you want to dress up like a woman and whatever it is, you should just do that and not involve everybody else. It does not have to be accepted for the entire world for what you want to do when you get underneath the sheet.
Exactly. And see, that's the thing. But the flip side of that, and people that are listening, that are listening to this, they're gonna say, well, why do y'all feel like y'all gotta force what y'all want to do on everybody else? And there's the rub. You got people that are doing whatever they want to do and they can do it, but then you got some people that are saying, now you're forcing that on us. You want us to tell our kids it's okay to do that when that might not be what we believe in. So that's where you're having the issue. I'm not trying to
I don't want to feel like I have to like call you a woman if you're not a woman. I don't feel like you have to like force me to say that you're this if you're not.
That's what I'm saying. That kind of stuff.
I don't want no one telling me to tell you to try to monitor my voice because you want to do something because whatever thing that you want to do. I don't like that.
And I don't want to delve too much into this because we had a lot of questions. We have a huge show. We've had a lot of people talking about things, and I didn't want to go too far into that, but we want to answer everybody's questions when it comes to law, politics, and religion. We have different opinions. There are pastors that feel like Baba. There's pastors that completely go the opposite direction and say, no, I'm on the other end of that. This is what I believe. I believe that scripture is scripture, and I believe that it's strict and it's right here and it's right there. You got other people that say, no. I believe what Baba says. And so there's always going to be the rub of the way that people approach that. But I'm glad that we're dealing with that, and we're dealing with that now. In terms of politics, what I will tell you is, because this is the issue, in terms of politics, you got people that now politics has become involved, in a sense, to some people, too much in religion. And so once again, you have your problems, because a lot of people are saying that issues that stem from that stuff has leaked into what we should do as Black people. Like, for example, now that if you're a Democrat and you got 80 or 90% voting Democrat, and then you got some stuff over to the far left that you don't agree with, that's why those Democrats are starting to say, you know what? They're doing too much over there. I'm more conservative. I haven't saw change in 50, 60 years. I'm going to go in that other direction now. So I definitely understand that.
Well, you got people now that are switching parties midstream. You got Republicans going Democrats. You got Democrats going Republicans, all because of what they believe, not what they know, but what they believe. And that's the danger of it, and then how what you believe affects somebody else. Now, I all time tell people, coming through the school of thought that I came through group, you say, well, I'm not racist. I'm racist, but I'm not a bigot. I'm gonna say it again. I studied the race to better understand my opponent, but I'm not a bigot. Racism is like being a biologist, a scientist. One does a study. That was Doc Ben taught us, but I am not a bigot. See, and that's the difference. I'm not trying to hinder your progress, but I want to get to know you so I know what I can deal with you or accept you. Because if I understand your ways and your customs, I'm less likely to offend you.
Exactly, and I definitely
do you
understand.
think that like lately that people are being more racist and
See,
also
we gotta watch. That's the word we got to watch. The word racist.
Okay.
A racist. You study the racist, but you're not a bigot. You're not hindering my progress, but you are getting to know me. How else can we come together if best we can understand? We study the opponent in the military. When you go in the military, we study the person, our enemy, to know how he thinks, functions, what he smells like, what he eats. You understand? To be acquainted with what I'm dealing with. So when I run into him, I know how to deal with him. You understand? We don't know, and among the Blacks, us, we have a caste system that we don't understand each other. For years, you had the lights against the dark, and the dark, all this, and we don't know each other enough to study each other in our own culture, And so Doc Ben taught us You got to watch the word you embrace. We say, well, you're racist. That sounds bad, but if I'm studying you to know how to work with you, be harmonized, am I right or wrong?
I definitely understand that. And see, those are things where we got to be careful, and there are little nuances.
Right.
I want to go to some of the comments. He said we can love our neighbors and not agree. We don't have to broadcast our sexual orientation. And see, that's a lot of people feel that way. You don't always have to bring sexual orientation into conversations in schools and sometimes even in the politics. In addition to that, I think America has lost the ability to peacefully disagree.
Yeah.
When I say peacefully disagree, because I disagree with you does not make you my enemy.
No.
And I think we've passed that point to where when you disagree with, if I go and I openly disagree with you and we're in Congress, now I'm going to get rid of your seat. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. I'm using that as an example because that's where we got to be careful. Now, I don't care if you listen. You got the numbers to win, take them numbers and win. But it's okay. But because we disagree, now we're doing stuff to each other. Now we're hating each other. And that's where we got to be extremely careful about. And that's why when we talk on our show, we talk about the legal part of it. Race plays a part in it. And when it comes to politics right now, there's a lot going on politically, especially when it comes to people of color, that there are great concerns about right now. Mel, what are you thinking about? What are you thinking about, Mel, right now?
These comments are flying. I'm trying to get them all, but they're flying. Sorry, guys.
Okay, so as far as I thought Pamela had a great comment. She says it is a biological fact that people are born with both sex organs, or females with high testosterone levels and boys born with high estrogen levels.
And I get that. Let me tell you what happened to me earlier this year when it came to Amon Khalif, the boxer or whatnot. I just said, if I had a daughter, I would not let my daughter box somebody at that level because I'm concerned about my daughter's safety because I don't know. It wasn't against that person, right? I had somebody from the Alphabet Mafia post my comments and then make it seem like I was some crazy, really aggressively bigoted person who discriminated against her child. And I was just like, that kind of stuff that I've seen from the far left concerns me because it's one of those things where if you don't agree with something, then all of a sudden you're A, B, and C. And I think when I'm a black man in the Democratic Party who has always supported people to be able to live their lives like they want to do what they want to do, and to be attacked like that by somebody that's supposed to be in the same camp that I'm in, that's why we got to start thinking about stuff as a people. Now, some people say, well, y'all being selfish. No, if I see people like myself, other African-Americans families start to suffer because one party is doing stuff too far to the left all the time, I have to say something. We need to figure out how we can take a platform that's going to win as opposed to continuing to do what we're doing, because what we're doing is not working. We're losing power. You're losing seats. You're losing the ability to have your voices heard. And there's a lot of black folks, to Queen's credit, are saying, no, I'm not. Y'all going to course correct, or more of us is going to go over there. So we're at a really trying point. A lot of people won't have this conversation when it comes to sexuality, politics, Democratic Party, Republican Party. I'm going to say, hey, look, let's have the conversation. We got to talk about it.
And that's what we need to do.
We got to talk about it.
And we need to do this. And that's what we don't do. Rather than have a conversation, we're too busy arguing at people and fussing at what we heard and not listening to one another. We're going to have to learn to not only hear to argue, but listen to learn. And we're not doing that. And we spend too much time arguing over yesterday and not concerned about what's going on now.
That's right, y'all. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right, Baba.
Hingle says, I'm gay, but I do not support policing everyone's speech. It's ridiculous.
And see, that's the thing. Like, you got some gay people that will say, hey, man, I'm not into all of that. policing everybody's speech. I'm fine. So what? You don't call me A, B, and C. I'm not worried about that. Even within that community, there's some people that don't agree with everything that's happening there. I remember Dave Chappelle got in trouble because he was actually met a trans person that liked his comedy and that was saying, you know what, we ought to be. Everybody else gets jokes thrown at them. We could take jokes too. And he developed a relationship with that person, and he watched that community attack that person. And he came to an understanding of people in that community, as well as he met a person that lived that lifestyle that he actually liked. So those are the things that we got to really have a conversation about, and we got to start getting comfortable talking about. Like even tonight, a lot of people are scared to talk about LGBTQ issues because they might be labeled anti this, anti that. No, look, I got people that might watch this. I know people that are gay. I'm friends with some of these folks. I know a couple that's married. Whatever they do is what they do. But let's have a conversation about it. Let's get an understanding about certain things in that community that we like and maybe that we don't like, and be able to say it. Y'all gonna tell us over here what you don't like about us. We ought to be able to tell you what we don't like about y'all. And that's just the truth. You don't like it, too bad. But we're willing to have this conversation on our show, and I'm glad that we're actually having it.
Clint Bryant said this country was never divided like this until Trump came around.
That's not true.
That's not true.
I want.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Let's let Reverend Green go.
Yeah, he's been here many. He ain't got a chance to speak. What's going on, Rev?
Hello, Attorney Calvin. Hello, Mr. Mel.
Hey, how are you?
Hello, everybody. Yeah, I think the problem of what we're discussing,
yes,
being canceled, the fear should be over by now. You know, the LGBTQ movement has definitely subverted the church, the schools, the bathrooms, the household. There's a verse in the Bible that speaks about the rainbow in the book of Genesis. Around Genesis 9:13, it speaks about, I set my bow in a cloud, and it shall be a sign for a covenant between me and the earth. One thing that Satan does is mocks God. They do things in reverse. Everything that Satan does is in reverse. 3 o'clock should be the hour where Jesus gave up the ghost. But 3 o'clock in the morning, that's exactly when they get busy. And so they took this rainbow symbol, and it's definitely pedophilic related, unfortunately.
And Reverend Green, I will tell you this. I listen to a lot of religious podcasts. I've heard this conversation had on numerous occasions. And once again, we appreciate you coming on and being able to speak from the position that you definitely have, because we want to be able to actually come on and have people that feel like you feel, being able to say what you say, and based on your belief in the doctrine. And then Baba maybe sees things another way, or I mean, there are other pastors that see things another way. I'm glad that we're actually having this conversation now, so that people are not afraid. And one thing I'll tell you about the Legal Review, and me and Mel have been doing this now for about 3 months.
I love it.
I appreciate it. And because we're not going to always be all to the left or all to the right. We're not here to come on and just not listen to people on the other side. You know, if the MAGA people listen to us, we read your comments as long as they're respectful. We may not agree with you.
Jesse Jackson messed up the rainbow. That's hilarious.
Well, see, I know, but the other side of it is we read the other side's comments, we read your side's comments. We're here a place to have a conversation. And if you want to learn stuff legally, if you truly want to learn more and do more, and you want to be able to talk openly and freely, the weekly legal review is a place for you to be. But I'm telling y'all, listen, it's 2 hours in. Being honest with y'all, Cal got to go to work tomorrow.
I know that.
We try to keep it about 2 hours strong, but we're going to be doing this, y'all, every week. 8 p.m. Mel, is 8 p.m. New York time, right?
Yes.
And it's going to be 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we're going to do 2 hours. Sometimes we'll do a little bit more than 2 hours. But today, I got to have Mel take us out because it's at the 2 hour point. If you didn't get to make comments this time, I know, Queen, we're going to bring you back again.
I'm okay.
We'll continue this conversation later.
You want to have people wrap it up and then,
Yes.
Words.
But Mel, go ahead and wrap it up for us tonight, man, and tell us what you wanted, what you think we're going to do next time, and let the people know my information, the Cash App, because we want to get that up, as well as we're going to be doing this again. Baba, we definitely going to invite you back. Queen,
I love it.
Back. Reverend Green, great point of view, great way to have that discussion, because I've heard people have the discussion that way, and we want people to feel free to come on this podcast that feel like you feel, as well as feel like Baba feels. So we appreciate everybody that's come home. I'm gonna have Mel take us out now.
All right. Before I do that, DJ Genesis, do you want to put up his Cash App? I haven't seen it up. Maybe I'm missing it.
Yeah, I put it up a few times, but I'll put it up again.
Okay, thank you.
So we're not gonna go around and give final words. We're just going straight to Mel, and that's it.
Yeah, we're going straight to Mel, and that's it. Because listen, honestly, y'all, it's 2 hours, and like I said, I got to, I have to get out of here, and people also, it's getting late at night. People got to get up and go in the morning. We do this every week, so whatever we don't finish tonight, we can come back and hit it next week.
All right, good deal. All right, so thank you guys. Please hit the like button, share, and subscribe if you like the show tonight. We really do appreciate having you guys. We have a show every day at noon. We go over the latest news to keep you abreast with what's happening in the world, and we appreciate all the comments. It's so nice for us to be able to have a criminal defense attorney, Calvin Johnson, come on every week. We know his time is very valuable, but he comes on and he helps us to understand the legal perspective when it comes to what's happening in the world. And it's so nice for you to be able to ask him these pointed questions and get real life answers from a legal point of view. So thank you to everybody that's supporting us. It's such a tremendous help, and the amazing moderators that we have as well. We definitely thank everything that you did tonight. And we definitely will be seeing you guys next week, Sunday night at 8 p.m. as well. We'll have Calvin back on. But tomorrow at noon, we'll be here going through the latest news clips. We hope to see you then. And thank you all for your participation. We will definitely catch you soon. Thank you.
And one quick thing is, please go and check out at DJ Genesis Detroit. I'm in the background. I don't say much, but, please support my channel. I just am the background producer of it all, but, please come and support my channel, because, YouTube has been not promoting my stuff. So if you get a chance, at DJ is at the top of this thing, please come to my channel, right? Because, that's when I need you guys to support me. All right. So
no wrong with that, Genesis. That's with DJ Genesis Detroit. You got Goddess Queen over there at 6'2". You got Attorney Calvin E. Johnson, and you got Mel watching the world 777.
Diddy said it. Yep.
Go and support all of these channels, y'all. Listen, y'all see how real we are. We work together. We're great. We love y'all, and we definitely are going to be seeing y'all next week. Same bat time, same bat place. Take care, y'all.
Shay. All right, peace, guys.